What's up, everybody? Well, I've moved, I would say, my office upstairs, which is my gym, workout area, coffee cup. Fan made this pretty cool. Well, today we've had a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we've had Zach Zander on the show, WWE superstar. We got Catherine, we got Nakia coming up, Yellow Ranger, Pink Ranger, which are actually the first Ranger guests that I have. And tonight, right now, we have a special guest, Rowan Tactics. Okay, Rowan Tactics. I'm even sporting the shirts. Mr. LAM has been a Green Beret. I have some stuff. He's been training. He came from Vietnam. He's been training for over 20 years. We're going to talk about tactical stuff. We're going to talk about knives. We're going to talk about street survival. And we're just going to talk because me and him hanged out. I went to a training center with him. Kansas, Wichita. Went to, just signed up as a regular client to train with him. And it was pretty amazing and fun. So right now, I think we need some mentality from a Green Beret, Green Ranger, Green Beret, of how, I would say, to, survive life. He also makes awesome blades. He has a company that makes blades. Rowan Tactics, and that's where he's at. Rowan Tactics, right here. And he's about to come in live in just a second. I did move upstairs, so I have better Wi-Fi. But also, as a friend, he has an amazing team. And listen, if this is the mood that I'm feeling, then this is the mood we're going to talk. Because we're not here to sell anything. We're not here to be fake, and we're here to just talk about real stuff, real life. I did an interview before, and it was on his YouTube channel, which, let me see, his Wi-Fi works perfect. So we're waiting for 2 on the line. And how are you?
Jason, good morning.
Dude, look at that hat. I've been seeing that hat online all the time.
Did you order it?
Did you order
I love
one?
it. I love it. I'm representing today, too.
Turn it off, honey.
Yeah.
Representing, which the back, you can see the back of the shirt.
Oh, nice, Bushido.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I tell everyone on here, I had moved my offices because the Wi-Fi's just been so spotty. So I've had some really good guests in here, and then I was trying to pull in my friend Emilio, and then that froze up. Chris, John Hennigan. So anyway, this was kind of a spur of a moment, but I think that's what right now everyone's living off the spur of the moment, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
It's trying times for the world right now. We need to come together.
Yeah. Which if you guys just tuned in, this is Jason David Frank, and right now we have a real life superhero, a Green Beret. Do you mind saying a little? I know you're from Vietnam. You mind saying just a little bit about yourself in a nutshell? I haven't, but I'd like you just to let people know.
Yeah. So a little bit story about myself. I was born during the Vietnam War. We escaped during the aftermath. There was genocide. At 2 years old, I was drug out in the streets with my parents. My uncles were gunned down by the communist regime. We were oppressed. My mother betted everything she had to let her 2 sons grow up to be free. We didn't have a freedom. We didn't have a country after the fall of Vietnam. We escaped on a wooden fishing boat, and we escaped past the pietry, the bandits that were coming in, raping and pillaging all the refugees that were leaving. We made it to the refugee camps over in Malaysia for a brief time, and then they loaded us back on the boats and pulled us back out in the ocean for us to die. They shot our engine and left us out in the ocean to die just because they didn't want to deal with the refugees that were leaving Vietnam. Somehow, by the grace of God, we got caught up in a storm and we were washed into Russian waters, where a Russian supply boat was leaving Vietnam, and saw a boat just kind of floating out there. We were dying. We were roughly out at sea for 30 days, is what my mother told me. People were dying, dehydration, there was no food. They would throw the deads over the boat, and we were prepping to die. is what my mother said. So I was only 2 years old, so I don't really remember the journey, but my mother never let me forget the struggles when I grew up. So the Russian supply boat saved us. They pulled us up, and then they took us into Singapore. Now, what I want to say to everybody is that there's a lesson there. You know, I was taught the energy of humanity at a very young age. You know, the Russians were the ideology that took me out of my country, but it was the Russian that saved me, right? So that stuck with me. That energy really did stuck with me, and we lived in a refugee camp for roughly a year and a half. When I say a refugee camp, it was not like they were giving us food or water, right? We had to survive off the land. And, you know, many people died at the refugee camps from getting murdered and you know, robbed. It was true survival. My mother held out for a year and a half, and I asked my mother, why did she hold out so long? And, you know, it's just a testament how strong my mom is. You know, she made a promise to my grandfather, who funded our escape, that she will take us to America, and she'll be reunited with, you know, my aunt, which is her sister. My aunt married an American Special Forces lieutenant. During the war, he was injured. Well, their G base got overran, and he was stabbed by SKS into the ribs. So he came back to America. He retired as a colonel. I mean, he had a future, but he sponsored our paperwork to get to America, which we waited a year and a half for, and then finally we came over to America. My mother eventually remarried to American Special Forces, Green Beret, and then I would say I started my Special Forces training when I was 8.
Jeez. Well, I got to tell you, man, God bless your mother for going through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And dude, I got to be honest, and we'll talk a little bit about, but I bet at 2 years old, you know, kids from the age of, like, because I work with kids all the time, I think 2 to 6, 2 to 10, quote me, but they learn a lot during that age. So you were probably, you know, training, believe it or not, in that subconscious mind to be a warrior and a fighter, honestly. And I still see that, dude. I'm going to talk about your class, but that's an amazing story. When I heard about you through some of my friends that, like, over here, everywhere, you're like, you know, I told you in your class, you're like a movie star. But anyone listening, I got Rob Liefeld coming on as a comic, but anyone listening, after I took your class and after I saw your fans that were so amazed, your life and yourself and who you are is a testimony, but it should be in darn comics or a movie. And that's probably going to happen one day, to be honest, because it's an incredible story. I mean, just
Thank you.
That to the age of where you were is one movie in a nutshell. You know, and you have so many things to share. And I thought it'd be really, how's the team, by the way?
Oh, the team's doing well. Unfortunately, we had to, the safety of our clients and our students is our number one concern. So until this virus kind of gets under control, we had to postpone all of our training. Yeah. It was a disappointment to some of our students, but, you know, there's a higher purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
That, you know.
That's for sure. And, you know, and I'm being able to hook up with so many people. I'm mentally going crazy. But I do think that sometimes my thought process is a little bit better when I'm under pressure.
Yeah.
Except your class and your AR class. I'm usually really, really good under pressure. Frustration usually doesn't frustrate me. If you guys just tuned in, is Jason, David, Frank. We have Rowan in the class right here, and Mr. 2. He's not only. I mean, you got your tactical stuff. You got all your tactics, your street self-defense, your classes, which, you know, by the way, I took your classes, and I never wanted anything for free, or you were amazing. I wanted to check out all the content, and I'm an instructor. I've been teaching for my whole entire life. So at Comic-Cons, when I travel, I'd watch your class, because I have online classes now because the same thing. I'm not traveling. Yeah. All my 500 students are now on home training, which, as you know, it's going to take discipline. Train. You
know, what was funny is I talked to some of my friends about that. I think, like, you know, the way that the world's going, you know, the quarantine, you know, I think it's going to be a shift in the world, and especially in education and the way that we train ourselves. Now, when I say that is, you know, I went to college, you know, and graduated college with honors, you know, online, you know. And when I say that, people are like, oh, okay. No, I went to war, and I was fighting through multiple continents in the jungles of the Philippines, all the way to Iraq and Africa. And I was still able to graduate from college. And the thing is, what you just said, it's discipline. Yeah, right? It's just discipline. That's all it is. I'm not any, you know, smarter than anybody else. Yeah. It's truly just discipline. It's getting up early. It's doing the right thing. You know, it's choosing the hard right or the easy wrong. Yeah. So anybody can do it. And I think like with this virus, it's going to bring attention to distance learning. Yeah, so.
Yeah, sure. And everybody wants to be safe. You know, I'm not here to talk about guns. I'm here to talk about martial arts tactics. I think the good thing about you is that you are, you know, a Green Beret. You were going through war, and it does take discipline to, you know, to do things online. But there's one thing I'll never forget, man, is I tell you, and sometimes it's more, I don't like to tell a lot of people because I don't want to be a party pooper, but I don't go out and drink. And, you know, it's been 10 years. I used to, you know, train, drink, but here and there, but I never did. And I remember you told me, you're like, hey, Jason, I didn't either. You know what I did is I was in my bunker and just reloading clips and magazines all day long. Clink, 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 clink. And then I started thinking, he's super smart because that's what you're there for. This is on hands. That's what you're there to do. But a lot of people are just there. And I'm not saying anywhere you're in a position of power is because you are a leader. You know what I mean? And I guess I am a leader too when I look at the martial arts. But now, you know, you have, I'd say, leaders in my industry looking up to a leader like you that's been through not just karate training and a hard life. And, you know, I come from the streets. Everyone wants to be from the streets. But you came from your story of age 2 years old and went through that all. My Oma passed away. She was 93, and she's from Germany. My dad's from Germany. His dad from Czechoslovakia. And so they were during the German war. My Oma and Opa left to come, you know, to America, but then they went to Australia. And then my dad tells me all this boat stuff, nothing like a war thing, because I don't think my Opa wanted to fight in the German war. So I still don't have all the details. I was young and all that, but I remember my dad just telling me he got so sunburnt on the boat that's all I took, you know, from my dad's thing. And because of your classes, I was thinking, I never talked to my dad about military, you know, like he was in the military. So I talked to him the other day and I was waiting to hear he's probably watching or Doug's watching, but it's fine. Waiting to hear some stories. You know, I hear all your stories, real live stories that, you know, in depth, and would talk blades. So I talked to my dad. I said, Dad, you know, I took 2 classes. It was tactical. He says, well, let me see your gun, the laser gun I practice. He's a little fat finger. And he did pretty good. And he said, I used to shoot. And I said, cool, tell me some stories. Jay, I can't tell you much stories like your friend. This is what I did. I peeled potatoes, and he was a driver. He was a truck driver. And I laid under the truck, and we kind of hid from our guy. And I just relaxed him. I couldn't even cook the potatoes correct. You know, he was a truck driver. Yeah. And he tells me stories about going out and drinking, and everyone's doing that. But it just, in my head, was like me. Like during the times, No Fear had a shirt that said, I practice while you sleep. And that's instantly when I said, is I could just see you so disciplined. I mean,
well, you know, Jason, the teachings of martial arts, right? It's proper form. Yeah. One starts off in proper form, and one executes with proper form and ends in proper form. Why can't you apply that to your life? Yep. Right? Why not start right and execute things properly so you may die a proper death? Yeah. Right. And that's the teachings of samurai. That's the teachings of Bushido. Yeah. You know, you must give your life to yourself and a dedication to a higher purpose, you know?
I learned a lot in your class, man. When people think with the gun training, tactical training, it's really, I'm going to say survival. It's a comfort to know what you can do. It's very humbling. It's almost to the point where I'm like, I practice AR, I practice my guns, you know, fine. cops come, military people come. We're all just, you know, you're all going to learn something. And I saw that. And it is intimidating when you go with cops and, you know, people in the Army. You think that there's some point where, you know, they're going to outshoot you. Of course that happens, but you teach the discipline like I teach. Like, hey, you're a white belt, but you can do like a blue belt, or you might come out like a green belt, so don't stress. That's why in our class, I was so excited. It's raining. Oh, man, I get to be like, you know, climbing the mud and, you know, from your background. And once the rain started happening, it screwed my head up. Like there's water on, you know, I can't see.
Well, you know, Jason, you know, you train in martial arts, you know, pretty much your whole life, right? Yeah. But the teachings of martial arts is very controlled these days. When I say that is, you know, what is martial arts? Martial arts is a military discipline. Martial means military. Arts is an art form. So it was a military art form that was developed back in the war-stating periods of Japan, Budo, Bushido, right? So when you talk about that, you think about the war-stating periods of Japan, man, they were in war for over hundreds of years, right? So as the peace period came, well, warriors are not needed anymore. Samurais are not needed anymore. So the Bushido mindset, the warrior mindset kind of washed away. Well, through the practice and dedication to honor our past warriors, they started practicing martial arts as a form of defense, right? Well, how can you practice a form purely if you're practicing in a dojo? Yeah. Right? If you're practicing in a controlled environment. And when I say this extends out to MMA. All of it is valuable forms and styles. But unless you're willing to execute it at the real level, when I say real level is gunfights, knives, guns, bombs, tactics, strategy, intelligence, right? Being able to gather intelligence and formulate a plan to execute with precise precision, you know? And that's the martial arts. Yeah. See, people, we step away from that because who gets trained on that anymore? Yeah. I know. But special forces, special operations guys, we still get training on that, but they can't combine the two together into a martial discipline, a path, the way, right? So,
well, you're trained. Now I say that, and you know, I'm a martial artist by heart. We've trained, you know, we fought. Oh God, everything. But it is a completely separate thing. And not only I imagine your stories, and I know for a fact, not only do you learn it, you're training in it. You're using it for practicality. You are using it, so you're trained. You use it, you train, and at the point now where when I took your class, dude, I was amazed. I mean, I have, you know, all you got your training knife, you know, which I learned a lot from just watching your videos. I got your other knives, and this is gonna come to something, but I was just telling you that it's like you practice and then you apply it. And you're not applying it for fun. You're applying it for survival, and you're applying it for our freedom. And that's why having you on the show, I never worry about, oh, I got a gun, I got a knife. It's because, you know, you've been there, you've done that for, like you were talking about with violence, but the violence was done for our freedom. And
it's being able to control that energy. You know, right, because it's like a loaded gun, right? So when you get trained to a certain level of evasion, tactics, intelligence, gunfighting, and martial arts, right, you become this warrior of modern times. Well, I believe in the ways of the old. That means I believe in the Bushido code. I believe in the ways, right, of samurai. Yeah. So I'm a warrior of the ways of the old, but I'm trained in the ways of the new, right? Yeah. So truly, like, that's what I tried to deliver to my students, is that a warrior lives by a code, right? And no matter what code it is, it doesn't have to be Bushido code. Yeah. It can be religion, it can be whatever. As long as you seek a code and you live by a personal set of rules that you're willing to die for. I like that. Right? So when I say you're willing to die for, right, are you willing to place your life on the line for a belief that you truly feel strong for? And, you know, I talked about humanity when I was young, you know, I was saved. Well, I'm willing to fight for humanity as an adult. You know, I'm willing to go to these these places, these tribal areas, and I'm willing to free those oppressed.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give it all. But the thing is, that's a code. That's my Bushido code. Anybody can have a code. A code could be, you know what, I want to be a good human being, and I want to present my family's name well. But that's a code.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Great, man.
Yeah. So that's people kind of forget, like, yeah, they talk it. Yeah. They talk about, oh, I'm this, I'm that, but you don't show actions. And actions is execution, right? That's you have to have that in order to walk that path, you know.
And you know what I love about you, man, and I do this as well, is that you're willing to teach whoever and anyone, because no one can be you, because you are a fingerprint. And sometimes when people learn, like in karate, I teach them how to do business. Like, okay, do this and do that, but it's the passion. I would say the knowledge, the experience. You know, when you're learning something from anyone, it's not about the belt you wear around your waist. The mat doesn't lie. It's no good. It's at that point where when you're on the mat, when you're on the mat, there's different rules, and people are comfortable with the rules in MMA. And I'm not saying anything, but on the streets, there are no rules, man. You are in
well, you know, I read a Chinese philosophy book, and in this book, it talked about two students, and they came from the same school. They were trained by the same master. They started their training at a very young age, which was 6 years old. They trained all the way to 18 together in the same school, in the same discipline. They were taught the same set of rules and code. One became a warrior. He traveled the world fighting for others. You know, he fought his enemies on the battlefield by swords and blades and arrows. See, the other student, he became a teacher, right? He became a teacher in the art of that martial art discipline. And he taught and taught and taught. The warrior traveled for many years, decades, fighting for others. And then they both came back together to have a conversation. Who do you think have the deeper meaning in life?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what life is. It's about living a full life.
Yeah, man.
You know, learning at the purest level. You know, like people tell me, oh, I'm brave. You know, I had people tell me that, oh, I'm brave. Yeah. See, you can never say you're brave unless you felt fear at the highest level. Yeah. And to me, highest level is life and death. Yeah. You know, and that's the teachings of a warrior. It's a teaching at the purest form. Yeah. Right? So, and that's the martial arts.
Yeah, and all heart, man. You put all your heart into it. You know, I teach as well. I would, every time I have someone on here, I'm always, you know, it's so passion perfect that it always sounds like we're doing an info commercial. You don't need nothing. I don't need nothing. I had a you know, big WWE on, Matt, call him Zach. He was on. We need nothing but, you know, Adrian Morrison. Everyone adds so much value, man. And it's the heart. In your classes, I'm not, if people that want to train, and I'm not just saying this because of the coronavirus going on, you know this, I go back to the Comic-Con and I study your classes, but then you have to be practical stuff and your movements, and then you break down the movements where it's so small and smooth, and otherwise you're learning like this, and you break them down. So I pretend I'm in class. When you're teaching me, I pretend I'm in class. I was at a Comic-Con and you called me and I was like, I'm thinking, what do I do? You know, because I watch you on YouTube and I like, hello, sir. Yeah, and I was right. I think I was telling you I was doing an interview and I was late. And I was like, oh my God, of all times. And I'm like, they're texting, you're late. And I'm thinking, I don't care. I'm talking to two. It doesn't really matter.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah. And then I called back and it was really cool. And then when I was doing your class, I was like, it's crazy because everyone loves you. They respect you. You are a hero. And everyone takes your class is hanging on your every word. So I think people are there to try to impress you. And they get a little nervous. They shake a little bit, but you drill them. You're not, you know, you're not soft in life. Hard coach, hard life. Life ain't fair, so deal with it. So you were pushing people, which was great, man. And I loved it. And it was just amazing, your classes. And I'm not just saying that. So when I watch your class, I pretend you're teaching, but this is what a lot of students at my school need to do, is that it's easier to teach a class with you because you could yell at me and say, hey, but when you're alone watching TV, no one's going to call you out except yourself.
Yes.
If you have the discipline. And I actually have the discipline to watch your movements, watch your footwork, but I enjoyed it. Every Comic-Con, that's all I did is, and I didn't drink, and I wasn't unloading and using the gun because I had never really fired a lot of firearms until I got into your stuff. And then, you know, Terry over here, everyone's kind of showing me stuff, and then it's very hard on your shoulders, super hard to aim, to shoot, and make it look so easy as you do. There are things.
Well, I tell you, when I was going through Special Forces training, when I was training on the firearm, I was really tense too, right? The body gets tense when it's something new. You know, the first step is always hard, right?
Yeah.
So during my training in the evolutions of the Special Forces, what I learned was I applied my martial arts training. So at first it was truly separated. There was gunfighting and there was martial arts. I separated the two.
Okay.
It wasn't into my time in combat was when I realized that I can move faster if I utilize the martial movements. Hi, Ray. How's it going, brother?
I see everyone.
Love,
Hey, too. I see a lot of people out there.
Oh, Ray's one of my brothers.
They say Tommy and Master Splinter. That's funny, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I would practice these gun movements, but I could not combine the martial arts to it. Yeah. You know, I can whip my hips. I can drive energy from the core. I can utilize my foot movements and my balance and weight shift. So I realized during the war, because war got very close quarters at a certain stage where you don't have time, right? So those movements have to become natural. And what I found was the instruction that I got was 90%. When I say 90% was I had some great instructors, man, some of the most lethal warriors in this time. And I tell you, like, they taught me, but it was only 90%. And I tell you why. Because each person moves separately. See, each one of us are different, right? So I had to find my 10%. And my 10% was the martial arts. I applied those movements through my training in the arts since I was 8. And it became a natural movement. Guns, knives, rocks, sticks, whatever it is. Right, and I found that when I let go of the energy, like the tenseness, I move like water. Yeah. You know, and Bruce Lee talks about that. You hit and you strike like water.
It's smooth, man, and it's stuff you do. Like I did these sit-up challenges, but I've been teaching those sit-ups for years, and so I don't even need to be in shape to bust out 40 of them because I just been trained. And oh my God, JDF! But those are something I've done for years. And when you shoot and apply it, it makes sense. But that's why I'm attracted to it, is because it has an art form to it. It has your curriculum that's very practical and real. It makes sense with your aiming and your shoulders to just punching the weapon out. So when people see that, I highly recommend for anyone to take your class, man.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it was I would say really. I say underpriced. I would have paid 5 times the amount of that because of the discipline and knowledge. But you're such a great guy where, you know, like me at karate, people come and they pay a certain amount of money and they're like, man, it was so valuable, but it's valuable to you when you add value to it. And I tell you, everyone there struggled. Everyone was trying to make you proud. And did you hear that guy say Tommy and Master Splinter?
Yeah.
Yes. Dude, that's so good.
Hi, hey, just a second. Hi, Gabe. How's it going? Gabe is one of my team, Ronin.
Oh,
brothers out in New Jersey. So much love to him.
Nice, man. Yeah, the whole.
So, you know, when we talk about that, though, you know, it's more than just movements that I wish to teach. It's man, it's life.
Yeah.
Right. It's life. It's compassion for others. You know, is what I try to teach, because a warrior is effective if he's driven by energy, an energy of higher purpose. And compassion is what a warrior fights for: humanity, purpose, you know, to end conflicts, right? So with that comes a code that you have to live by. And it doesn't matter if you're a warrior or not. You can take a code and apply it to your life.
Yeah.
You could take a code from the Bushido teaching, which is compassion, right? Selfless service, commitment, dedication, all these honor, So you can take those codes, you can combine it to your life and live to be, I don't know, a great human.
Yeah.
A great human being in today's needed world, right?
Yeah.
And when I say needed world is, Jason, I've been around the world. I've been to 27 countries, from Asia all the way to Africa, the Middle East, Europe. The world needs to be kinder.
Yeah.
We don't need any more hate in this world. Yeah. So that's my path as a Ronin is, I'm trained in the art of violence, but I understand that violence is needed to suppress evil. Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah. And dude, like I'm telling everyone right now, it's so funny because people are tuning in because of everything going on and stuff like that. But it's amazing that this is the stuff you say that we need right now, but that's the stuff you did even before this happened. So I learned that in class. It's not just it's more of a life-changing class for you to understand. You're so knowledgeable, man. You're like a samurai warrior. I believe you really are. Your energy comes off very like Dragon Ball Z-ish, and people's energy push back, or you could just accept the energy, and I noticed that about you too, man. I don't want to take too much time up, but your knives, you're very proud of your knives, and I am too. Is there like, if you guys look, Two's got very exclusive knives. Everything you post on your page, it goes out so fast. It's not because of, it's because of you and your knowledge behind these knives. So when I took your class, and I'm not going to, but we're talking about balancing of your knives and using knives for different parts of stabbing, slashing, moving, and the story about cherry blossom too, yes. Right? Like, I remember all this stuff, man. Is there any little thing before, I don't want to take too much of your time, that you can talk about, like the knives or anything that educated me on like balancing or whatever how do you design a knife? What is a good, besides you killing people, I got kids on here, but I've learned for knives slipping on blood, but what is the ideal knife for you? I don't think people understand and respect that. Is it balance? Is it material? What is ideal for you?
Well, first you need to take a look at your life, right? You need to take a look at the purpose on why you're carrying a blade. Like a blade like you're holding right there, we designed that as the Shinto blade. Is very close, similar to what I carried in the Philippines. The Philippines, I needed to not only be able to defend myself against the enemy, but also I had to be able to build fires and shelter and be able to build stuff to live off the land, because man, I was in the jungles, right?
Yeah.
So that's more like a survival utility knife. That's something that somebody would take to go and survive up in the mountains with, to gut animal, to catch, to build fires, whatever. And then you have the Sakura.
This could be used as chopping one too?
Like, pull it out, Jason. Pull out that blade. So if you guys look at the blade, right, it's a heavy mast end. It's not too heavy like a kukri knife, but because it's a downward tip and it has a little heavier mass, there's a chopping power to it on short chops because of the heavy mass and the downward slope. If you think about like a kukri, if you guys know what that is, a Nepalese knife. I was trained, cross-trained with Nepalese commandos before, and when we came across the jungles, I realized that type of design, that geometry in the blade worked well in some kind of outdoors survival situation. Now, do you have the Sakura blade? Now, the Sakura blade was designed off my time in the Philippines. I learned the art of the kukri knife, which is Kali. A lot of those movements are check hand movements. So you trap, you check. The blade needs to spin with the hand. So with my fingers, the blade can spin from a reverse grip to a pick position really fast. Why I don't have a handle on there, if you look at it, it's very streamlined, is because I can draw this thing with the blade in my hand and still shoot a gun with it.
Yeah.
I can go very close quarters combat. I can reverse grip really fast, and it's concealable. It's very streamlined. It hides very well. I didn't go with switchblade design because in the special forces we cannot fail. Nothing. We don't want anything to fail on it, and we want simplicity on our gear and our equipment. When I pull out that blade, I realize that blade's ready to go. Yep. You know what I mean? So
you got the training
Shinto blade was made for more of, survival
training blades. I mean, this is, dude, it's amazing. I mean, you know, you're nice that you have and the knowledge you have. I'm telling you, man, like I took your class just, I'd say, as a fan of you for being a hero, for being a Green Beret. And because I was Green Ranger too. So I was like, whoa, man.
We have a common bond there.
You know, yeah. I was like, wow, Green Beret, which is super cool, which, you know, and then a helmet. But I took your class just open-minded. You helped me out so much. You were very giving, and you're a really, really good instructor. And I've worked with instructors around the world, man. And I tell you that, I mean, even though I might not talk and call, you got your stuff going on, but I just let my fans know it was your great class. It wasn't just that for me, it wasn't a one-time thing. I'd like to learn. I'm always like, hey, when's your next class? And I know things are on hold right now, but I think people are going to it's going to hold, everything is going to hold more value, man. We're going to appreciate everything a lot more, which.
Absolutely. You know, and one of the things, because I've been traveling to train for 5 years now. I travel around the United States from New York all the way to California.
Yeah.
You know, we go where we're needed, Team Ronin.
Yeah.
And what I could tell you is, you know, my connection with the students. So when I say that is, you know, Jason, I met some victims, you know,
Yeah.
and I met some that were in a bad place in their lives. And I feel like if I share my energy, you know, if I give them, you know, hope, or I give them a form, a style that will give them the confidence they need to pass this, because the martial way, the martial arts is deeper than that. Not just from the student side, the teacher, he has to keep his path in life. A warrior, right? What is a warrior? I was telling one of my special forces friends, there's a path. And he asked me, like, what is the path? Because he didn't study in the Bushido code.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that a warrior first needs to be selected.
Yeah.
Right? Either you select yourself to be a warrior, or God selects you to be a warrior. You just have to listen to the powers of the universe, right? Because the universe is going to guide you to a certain place in time.
Yeah.
It's what you do with that energy.
Yeah.
You know? So a warrior first seeks to be a warrior. He selects to be, and then he goes through the agonizing selection process to be one, and the training and the years of dedication to be a warrior. And then one must go to war. See, you have to take your teachings and you need to apply it to life itself.
Yeah.
And you need to feel things at the purest level. So because I was able to extract information, at least for myself, at the purest level, then if I can give that answer to somebody, now let me say this. I had victims that were raped and they hid in a closet for 8 years. You see? Yeah. Defeated. And I let them out of that closet. I gave them that energy and that strength to live life again, you know? And that's what being a warrior is about following a certain path. And people talk about Bushido, right? They talk about that word like they understand it. Mm-hmm. See, you don't understand Bushido unless you lived it, my friend. Right? I could tell you all the lessons of compassion, and I could tell you, you know, honor and all that, but unless you're willing to put your life on the line to feel at the purest level. So I feel like in the path of Bushido, Bull, B-U, is to stop the spear, to intercept the spear, to stop evil. She means the one with the strength to walk that path. And Do is to take one's life lessons and to give back to sake of humanity, because that's what the teachings of Bushido is about, is to leave this world better than you came in. Yeah. So, you know, when I teach my students that, I saw improvement in a lot of students. And when I say improvement, Jason, there were some of my students were very overweight, and they were at a very low state in their life and self-esteem and where they want to be. Yeah. After the class, they changed. They changed their appearance. They changed their code. Yeah, for sure. You understand? Yeah. So because I've been teaching for over 5 years, I see these students. When I come back to those cities, I see them. Yeah. And there's no better reward than to see one improve one life so they can truly be happy, right? Yeah.
And you do amazing, man. Like you take time. It's almost like a mini ceremony to privately to understand each one's struggle. And that's what over there, you wait, then you break it down. We got that coin. I was going to bring that in your painting, your drawing, and I switched rooms and everything. I got you on a little, I'll send it to you after. It's a little ball. Yeah, I got that one. I should have had it. I got you leaned up against a little medicine ball right now, and you're going to see. But I got that coin. I was proud of that coin. And people earned it. I mean, you did. And one thing I want people to know, if you guys just tuned in, which I know we're getting thousands of views, people coming in and out. Okay, Rowan right here, tactics. I just want to be clear when he talks about changing students' lives, like he's going to leader students as well, like cops, SWAT team. I mean, you are teaching people that, we can influence people, but you're teaching people in departments on top of that to learn how to, I guess, have better skills, better, like human skills, man. When you're a better person, you're a better warrior.
Jason, I tell you, man, I say this with a full heart when I say it is, I love life. I do. I love life. And I'm willing to protect other people's lives. And I travel the world fighting for those. So after my time in the service, I realized that, I want to give back to my countrymen, my Americans. And I realized that I can't train everybody. I know that, I'm just one person. So if I can train a community, you see, if I can train the law enforcement officers that swore to protect the community. Also, I don't just train law enforcement, I train the community itself, right, the people. But the reason why I concentrate a lot on law enforcement officer is because first, they need it. They really do. They need it in this time and era. There's a lot of scrutiny going on. They're facing challenging times. Some of them doesn't make the right decisions, right, on moments of danger. And a lot of times it's just because it's fear, right? So if I can teach that, if I could teach the way of a Green Beret and how I overcame, fear and acceptance of death, right, for the sake of humanity, well, then I realized if I could teach these groups, then they can serve that community and help support that community, right? So it's about leaving this world a better place.
Well, that's good, man. Dude, I thank you for your time. Everyone out here, I know there's comments, but I'm just so intrigued with the way that you teach. And what truly, honestly, man, the truth is that when you see a master talk, it's not only that it's something special that you can see. It's the translator. You are translating through universe, God, through your experiences as a child with a 2-year-old. Look, when a kid comes up to you and says, hey, I was stranded, you could share those stories. I most likely can't, but I can.
Well, what is, you trigger an emotion here is that, I traveled the world, Jason, and I was born in war. In fact, the morning I was born, the North Vietnamese we were receiving artillery fire into the city of Saigon. My mother laid over my body as an infant child. We were at war, you see? And I realized that I felt that energy at 2 years old, hopelessness. We were out in the ocean ready to die, you understand? Like, we were ready to die. And when I go into foreign countries where people are oppressed, and when I say oppressed, there's so many conflicts and war that people don't understand. People are still being enslaved. There's still acts of genocide, in Africa and the Philippines. So the thing is this, man, why not dedicate a life to serving and protecting that, right? Yeah. Because I love life.
Yeah, you sure do. I remember that time I was stuck in traffic and I was texting you. I'm like, oh, this stupid car is this. And you just said, hey, Jay, relax. It's a good day. Love life. And I instantly, I used to have road rage, but I instantly was like, oh, okay, here we are. 2 is teaching me a lesson. And that's honestly, man, and it's so funny when I say master, because I know you're a student of everything. And in order to be a master, you need to be a student. And that's what I love about you and me. You see, like when I came on your stuff, I put everything down. I opened it out and I learned. But when I take away, I could really share with people. Like,
Yes.
I'm hoping, you know, like just doing this, I know I'm here, you're here for me and I'm here for you, but that's the divine appointment that we're supposed to have for saving that one person out there, or learning about learn about your blades, or listening to a life skill that you would taught me. And I always remember certain things, certain images. I can't get that image of you in the bunkers, just everyone else can party and I'm just unloading, man. I'm loading and loading, because that shows me that was, you know, it was a job. I have a lot of friends that die skydiving, right? And I was telling the other day, like, but that's their choice to have fun, to skydive, right? And they're putting their life on the line for a hobby. And it's kind of like you had to for the country, you know, even though you had to get through the skydive and you had to do all this. It wasn't that you could have stopped any time, but that's why you're on top in the Supreme. Is that, you know, you grab the Supreme people and put them on top of intelligence. Dude, I know I could talk all day long, and
No, you know, but
listen,
that's the point of life, Jason. You know,
yeah,
it's about sharing life, because people ask me, well, how many, you know, free fall jumps do you have? Well, my free fall jumps were night vision with combat equipment and guns.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oxygen, because we're so high up in the air. It's not fun.
yeah.
And I tell you the truth, man, I'm petrified of that, you know, but I had to overcome that fear.
Yeah.
You see, because the purpose is higher than me, right? The purpose is higher than me. When I say that is, you know, when I'm suffering, when I'm going through special forces training, I'm cold and I'm hungry. I went 8 days without eating before.
Yeah.
You know, so the thing is, it's not about me, right? I need to learn this so I can better serve the world. Yeah. How can you feel remorse for the suffering if you never suffered?
Right.
Right. So that's the teaching.
Yeah. It's amazing, that mentality of going in there and saying, this is something I'm not doing for me. I'm being the best me, but I'm doing it for you. And even though you're not doing it for us to get something out of it, you're doing it for our freedom. You're doing it for us, the country, not just one in particular person, which, dude, I find that, I mean, true hero, like, no doubt in my mind. It's not about training or being a martial arts master because you are continuing to be a student like me, but these life lessons and the knowledge, you know, dude, is like, I say dude a lot. I said shout out to someone, dude.
Yeah.
The stuff that you're teaching, life skills, and I follow your page. Everyone, if you haven't got a chance to follow the page, it's RONIN Tactics. I wrote it down somewhere. Just go. You're probably following him. He's got as much, if not more, followers than me. But RONIN Tactics, I didn't write that down. We are working on your blue check. So anyone out there that gets these blue checks, please, like, I will give 2 of my blue check. He is the country, even though blue checks really don't make a difference of who you are, but you, my friend, should have a blue check. And I'm doing whatever I can, and I'm sure someone on here, I'm posting some on YouTube, get to a blue check, and I'll do whatever, dude. If you want me to do a go-go Power Ranger birthday party, I'll do it for you. He's done so much for us. But seriously, man, it was a spur of a moment thing. Thank you, team.
But you know what I want to say to you, Jason? I want to say this to you honestly, as a friend and a fan. You know, is that, you know, you take your life, right, and you travel around to these Comic-Cons. I've seen you. You know, I watch you, and you spread love, man. Right? You spread words of encouragement. You know, I see a lot of people that in position of your power or influence, they don't do that. You know, and what I love about you is you take the time to get to know your fans. You spread your knowledge. You know, you are a martial artist, and you teach deeper than just movements, right? Because, dude, anybody could teach you, but trust me.
Yeah.
I taught 3rd grade education rebels how to fight guerrilla tactics, right? Yeah. But the thing is, man, you teach life, right? And that's what we need. Yeah. We need more of that. We don't need just movements without thought, because that's what it is. Movement without thought is easily defeated, right? But if you apply life, man, you apply experience, you can live such a full life, right? And what I love about you is you do that. You go around and you spread that message as well. And also, like, like my friends, my peers, like Ray,
Yeah.
you know, that is an ex-Navy SEAL. Like
Yeah.
he goes out and he spreads his leadership, and you know, and I love seeing that.
Yeah.
You
All
know,
the
because,
posts,
like
all
I
that
said,
stuff, man.
we have too much hate in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't need it anymore.
It's crazy. Well, dude, I appreciate you're doing the same thing. I mean, you are, like I tell everyone on here, that every night I'm trying to be consistent. I'm trying to bring value. You have brought value into my life a lot, and you have brought value into many people around. And I'm not just saying that, man. I truly honored to see. I would see nothing better than watch a movie about you. I know the Bloodshot movie came out, and by the way, they you know, took my whole series off, and then Valiant just put it on their channel. So now the series is back up, which I wish I knew you at the time, because I played Bloodshot. I didn't know much about weapons. We use Nerf guns. Oh, man, I could make things look clean with your help. But there'd be nothing better to read your story, man. I know one day, I know it's going to happen. Universe is great. Everyone's drawing you. I got the painting of you, man. I'm telling you, there's nothing more I'd love to see, because it's real, it's passion, it's raw. And what you just said about changing people and getting them out of their, you know, out of their misery. That's why I do a lot of poetry too. I know it's like, but it's tough to do that, because it's hard to say, this is the truth I felt about your class. This is what it is. And it's so hard for people to be truthful. But when you're truthful, I feel like you can learn. And I was truthful with you, and I learned a lot. And I was truthful
You did.
a level 1, because I've never done that stuff before. But I told you too, I want to be better. I want to be better. You said, you're doing good as long as you focus on what you're doing today. Don't worry about what you're doing tomorrow. Little
And
things.
don't worry about the environments, because
Yeah.
remember, it rained, it was cold, it was
I know,
windy,
dude.
right?
I know.
And a lot of guys, when I was talking, they were covering up and they were worrying about the environment. So let me explain this to you. It is through the hardships. It is through the hardships that one develops skill. So if you're able to master a skill set through the environments, my friend, then that is the true teachings. If you worry about the non-essentials, then that's all you're going to worry about. The code, the misery, the suffering. Dude, those are emotions that you can easily control.
Yeah.
Right? Hi, Track. How's it going, brother? Track is another one of my students. He's
Hey, what's up, buddy?
San Francisco. He's a great guy, too. But, yeah, that's what it's about.
That's great, man.
You know?
Dude.
So you want to train in suffering. You want to feel, because you know why? There's scarring in it.
Yep.
You scar that energy into your soul, you'll never forget it, man. You'll respect it, right?
We did talk
So
about
that day,
Yeah.
you know, it scarred into you. I saw it. It scarred into you because that night you reflected deeply on the training.
Yep. And then we talked, and I remember doing that interview. I don't know, I was nervous doing it, or I don't know what was wrong with me. My energy was definitely off. I think because, again, you know, your students do try to impress you to make you happy. You know what I mean? And so when I have students, like I have a golden retriever, he's driven to make me happy. He doesn't listen to other stuff, but he's driven to please. So I think it was just trying to, you know, all the students are trying to please you. But once I know you, you're not looking for the pleasing, you're looking for the action and taking the next step, which is great.
Yes.
You know, you're almost proud of someone doing it, besides asking all the time. You're almost proud to say, hey, do it. And even though it might have been not the best shot or pleasing, but it pleases you better that students can listen and practice. I don't know. It's you know what I'm saying? It was really great and interesting for me, man. So
hi Ahmad, how's it going, Ahmad?
Oh yeah, what's up, dude?
One of my brothers. Well, you met Ahmad.
Yeah.
So what a great guy.
What's happening, man?
So part of Team Ronin. Much love, brother.
That's awesome.
So the thing about that is that, you know, that's the thing is, you know, you have to break down the teachings, right? It's deeper than just movements, right? You want to train the student, not the movements, right? Movements are movements. But I asked the student, you know, this is the way I do it. And then if they tell me, hey, well, if I push a gun this way, then this will interfere with my kid. And I say, well, that's not your path then. Yeah. See, because like water, what works for me may not work for you. So you have to find that 10%. And then that's where you came in, was you, I remember I'm like, hey, Jason, here is the task. Do you understand the task? You said yes. And I said, do you understand the stance that you need to have in order to have structure for this rifle? You said yes. So when you snapped up, you came up to a karate, your martial art discipline. Well, that martial art discipline is not too well for the gun, so you have to change the structure. Yeah. But delivery of power is still the same.
Yeah.
A punch is a punch. So when I snap if I snap my rifle, it's the same like snapping a jab or a cross, right? It's the same power produced by the core. Yeah. And that's what I was trying to tell you that day, was that you have the movements. You just got to find your path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to find it, man. And I appreciate you so much. Is there any last thoughts you could tell someone in a nutshell what's going on with this crazy world? You've been everywhere. You've been under pressure. You've faced death so many times. I think people aren't used to what's going on now. Is there anything you could tell, like my fans and other people, in a nutshell, but that you can just mentally prepare, like instead of like everything's going to be fine, something you can tell us to apply if it's do something? What can you share with us to get our, I want to say mind off of it, but how do you survive? How do you survive when you have all that going on?
I believe in God in the heavens, and I believe in the powers of the universe. And when I say that is, gosh, man, God has tested me many times.
Yeah.
Right? And the universe has put me in these positions many times. So I know what suffering feels like. I do. And the thing is that in the moment of these hardships, it's truly the way you look at it.
Yeah.
Right? So you can go, oh gosh, I'm stuck in this house. I wish I'm out. This and that. Well, you know what? Maybe this is the time for the young ones to pursue a higher level of education.
Yeah.
Right. For my older gentleman, successful gentleman that works and all that, well, this is a successful time for you to find yourself again with your family. Mm-hmm. Right. So what I'm saying to you is how you look at things.
Yeah.
For me, during this time, first, I mean, we run the company, so we're kind of busy. But second is to me to have time like this to connect with the followers, the viewers, and to spread the love, man, the message. And the message is this: strength comes from within. And the way you look at things through hardship, you find who you are and your character. So through the hardships, hey man, you're going to find yourself. So right now, through the hardship of, I don't know, quarantine, whatever, of the world, find yourself.
Yeah. Good.
And work on it.
So amazing, man. I love the fact that, with the gods and the heavens and the universe, it's amazing. It takes a champion and true warrior to say that. And I will tell everyone, not much I can say, except all I'm trying to do is be consistent for my own self, not to go insane and crazy, trying to teach students and do something and learn. And it is one of those things where I was like, oh, man, thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. I know the team's busy. Like I said, not here to sell anyone, but I know I'm going to get hit a lot. Your RowanTactics.com is where people can go for your classes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You buy the class. What I love about your class is that you have to do them because they are gone 3 months. Am I not correct?
They're gone in a few days.
Good. Yeah. Good. That makes people want to train. Like every time and it shows you get done 50%, 60%, which is super smart because it helps me. And then I'll go and repeat it. You know what I mean? So, man, thank you for that. And thanks for providing love for the whole entire world. And thank you for your talk, because I know everyone's out there watching, but this talk was really for me. And for me is I need it because I have to continue leading people. And sometimes we need mentors and people to look up to. And you're a mentor, and I look up to you, man. I really do.
Oh, arigato gozaimasu. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, guys. Thank you, man. Amazing. Awesome. So, guys, amazing talk. I could talk there forever. I'm going to have to bring in Catherine and Nakia in just a second, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. If you guys go into I'm going to tell you, everything on his page goes quick, man. It's quick. Ronin Tactics, good stuff, good knives. Even T-shirts, hats. Like, I'm not here to sell anything because it's gone all the time. But if you do follow him, true hero, man. There's a true hero serving our country and being a Green Beret.